We're good.
Okay, perfect. Um, Also, as I mentioned, all of the information that you see here this evening will be posted on our website. So we'll be collecting question and answer. We'll put it all together in one nice document. We also will email the document out to you, but in case you don't get it or for whatever reason, it will be available at erie.gov/public art. Again, that is erie.gov/public art. And I guess somebody can throw that in the chat too, if you wouldn't mind. And so, just to level set, today, the purpose of this gathering here today is to get information from you all via the process of question and answers. All right. So, we've already received some questions and some answers. We may not have all the answers, but what we'll do is ones that we don't know, we'll collect them, we'll find the answer, and it will end up in that document that we'll send out and have posted um, at our website. The last thing I'll say for this evening, before our chair, Alexa Wajed, takes over, is that you can ask questions in one of two ways, if not both. The first way is throughout the presentation, if you have a question that comes up, feel free to throw it in the chat. And we'll have someone just tracking the questions, and then we'll address them the best we can during the question and answer period of this presentation. The second way is when we get to the presentation, or I'm sorry, the question and answer part of the presentation, feel free to raise your hand, and then we will call on you in that manner. So again, anytime during a presentation, throw your questions in the chat. We'll get to them. And then if you want to speak, please raise your hand during the question and answer period, and we'll allow you to present your question to the team. So without further ado, thank you for joining us tonight. I will turn it over to Alexa.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to have this virtual question and answer period. My name is Alexa Wajed. I am the co-founder of Eat Off Art, which is a visual arts and creative consulting business. And I am the chairwoman for this newly established committee called Arts in Public Places. And thanks to Erie County Public Art Law that was passed last year, awesome for public art and artists, the Committee of Artists and Preservation Specialists manage new county funding for public art. And we put out calls for art and select works of art. And this is a replenishing fund for public art projects. And calls will be going out on a regular basis in the future, but this first call is looking for Erie County resident artists and artist-led teams to submit proposals for any of the 5 locations that hopefully you've already been to the website, erie.gov/public art, to check out. The deadline is December 16th at 12 p.m. So that's December 16th at noon. The budget is up to $200,000 and rough project schedules are requested. Callbacks will be in early January, and selected artists under contract will be under contract in spring, and preferably the artwork should be completed by winter of 2025. So that's what the basis of this public call for artwork is. And since it's already 5:40, we're going to go ahead and get started with the review of the questions which have already been received, as well as any copyright and insurance information that we currently have and that we can provide. And Monica, if you could take the mic.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen real quick. All right, and as Alexa noted, so these are questions that we've received already. So we just wanted to go over them and also know that we've posted these questions and the answers on erie.gov/public art as well. So you could look at them there too. Okay, so the first question is the $200,000 budget per location or total? So it's the total budget. So the committee might select multiple projects with budgets less than 200,000 or one project of a whole budget of $200,000. Okay, so the next question is, for sculptures, will artists be required to carry insurance after installation, or will Erie County carry the insurance after the installation? And if so, for how long? And so the answer is the artist would be required just to carry insurance during the design, fabrication, and installation process. But after installation, when the work is complete, the work will become the property of Erie County and will fall under the county's property insurance. So the next question was, if a sculpture is proposed for one of the sites, is the artist responsible for hiring and budgeting for the concrete base and below ground footings, or can the county provide that work? So the answer to that is the Erie County Department of Public Works would provide the concrete foundation needed for the sculpture. So you don't have to include the concrete foundation portion in your budget proposal, because the Erie County DPW department will do that and want to make sure everything's structurally sound and all of that. So the next question is, are any major materials like boom and scissor lifts provided by Erie County, or should this be encompassed in the budget? So the cost of any and all materials and rentals should be included in the budget. Erie County won't be providing scissor lifts or boom. And then the next question is, if community engagement is a pivotal part of an artist's practice, would Erie County be willing to make connections with key stakeholders if needed? So that's kind of broad. So, in your submission, please just indicate, how you collaborate or engage with the community in your arts practice, and include any specific requests you might have of Erie County in terms of, who you'd like us to introduce you to or engage with. And then, we'll work from there. And then another question is, so is it allowable to enter two separate proposals to the same location? And sure, you could enter two separate proposals for the same location if you can't decide which one is the best. And then, so I think that this is the last question we got in specific for the Seneca Bluff site. So can the plans for the parking lot renovation and the landscape design or plantings be provided, because there's going to be a lot of investment and work going on in that park in the coming months, really. So the answer to that is the working site plans for Seneca Bluffs improvements are available for artists interested in this location. You could just email us at publicart@erie.gov for more information, and we'll get that over to you in case you want to look at that in your design process. So those are all the questions we received through our publicart@erie.gov email and phone earlier. Now, just in terms of copyright information, and again, this is all included. This is on the call for artists on our website. But we're pretty standard for all these arts and public places programs. So copyright information included in the artist contract, the artist expressly reserves every right available to them in common law under Federal Copyright Act to control the making, dissemination of copies or reproductions of the work, except those rights limited by the agreement. And we would have this language in the agreement, which says the artist expressly permits the county to reproduce the work graphically for purposes strictly for the sole use and benefit of the public. All reproductions of the work shall contain a credit to the artist and copyright notice substantially in the following form: the normal copyright, artist name, year of publication, in such manner and location as shall comply with the U.S. copyright laws. So the artist owns the design and the county owns the physical work. Because this is about supporting artists. We want to, protect your rights on your work. Okay, so in terms of insurance, so there's 3 parts here. At all times during the duration of the project, the artist will maintain workers' compensation and appropriate employer's liability insurance covering any employee of the artist engaged in activities related to the project. in an amount acceptable to the county. And then the second part is the artist acknowledges that the county is not required to maintain insurance against any damage or theft of the work or personal property used in connection with the production and installation of the work. And then thirdly, so the artist will provide general liability insurance covering the project with a combined single limit per occurrence of $1 million for bodily injury, death, and for property damage, $3 million annual aggregate. The artist liability policy should name the county as additional insured. And again, this will be kind of, we can get more information to the artist as to, you know, how to name the county and the certificate and everything, like once the artist is selected. So, yeah, so here we are. I'll give it back to Alexa.
So at this time, if anyone has any specific questions, if you could raise your hand or if you could put it into the chat. There were a couple questions already in the comments. The first one was, can the slideshow be shared after the meeting? And the answer is yes, it will be posted on the website along with all the questions and the responses from this session or any other questions that come through. The next question was, is this call for art for Erie County residents only? And the answer is yes, only Erie County residents may apply. So at this time, are there any other questions, whether it's regarding the location or the actual process? Yeah, Cheyenne, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I just was curious, dependent on the locations, is there any restrictions within discipline of art?
Well, I'll take the first stab at it. Thomas, Monica, Idris, if you could chime in. Not necessarily. We are looking, so 2 specific locations do call out a location for like a mural. It's the Health Mall and then, of course, the Convention Center wall. But then the sculpture work obviously is for the park areas or any creative placemaking that might be appropriate for those areas. Of course, when you're considering your work, considering any sculpture work or anything like that, you want to make sure that, you know, there are no parts hanging off, it's not climbable, it's, you know, it's not going to fall, it's not going to injure anyone. So those are kind of the things that we are going to be looking for, in addition to just really with a fine-tooth comb going through the applications and really recognizing whether or not you understand the process, if it looks like this is something that you've done before. Those are pretty much the steps that we're going through. And I hope I answered all of that question.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I don't want to mispronounce your name. Abby? You have your hand raised?
Hi, yeah.
How do you pronounce your name? Avi.
Avi.
Thank you.
Yes. I might have a follow-up to the previous question, but this was just, the slideshow went by really fast. And the last point about the limited liability insurance where we named the county as additional insured, I didn't catch the parameters of the period of time that is for. I understand that we're holding insurance and workers' comp while we're working on the piece, but the last slide, was that sort of meant to be just during the period while we're working on the piece, or is it supposed to be named as a location on insurance after the piece is installed?
Whenever you are doing any type of public art, whenever you are on the site and actively installing something, you want to make sure that you are covered through insurance, and that certificate of insurance would list Erie County. So that would be the duration of the process of the mural and the installation until it's complete, at which point Erie County will then, and Monica and Thomas, please chime in if you need to, if I'm not saying anything correctly. At that point, the insurance would then transfer to Erie County, who would be responsible and at that point own the artwork. Did that
That's
answer?
perfect.
All right, thank you. It just went by so fast. I wasn't sure if there was some supposed to insurance we were supposed to hold after installation.
No, those limits were specifically for the work and the installation.
Got it.
Yep,
Thank you
yep.
so
And
much.
then again, everything will be up on the website and you can always review that. And if you have any additional questions after this call, you can certainly ask those.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, I know there was a couple questions in the chat, but I'm going to go to Nargis. Is that,
Hi, yeah, it's Nargis. Yeah,
Nargis? Okay, thank you.
yeah, Nargis. Is this only for the Americans? Because I'm not an American citizen, but I live in Niagara Falls and I'm a student here. So can we participate? Like, I don't know if it's like for all.
Well, the stipulation is for Erie County residents. So if you hold a residence here and pay Erie County taxes or own a home here, or you have residence here, then you would be able to apply. If your residence is elsewhere, perhaps there is another Erie County resident artist that you know of that might want to collaborate with you. That would be the lead artist, and maybe you could assist with that. But the call is primarily for Erie County residents.
Oh, okay. So Erie County, I'm not really familiar with these places. So does Niagara Falls like, is it, I don't know, is it a part of Erie County or is it a separate part? I don't know.
Niagara Falls is actually a part of Niagara County.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, but there are other opportunities within West New York and Niagara County for calls for art. So I would definitely encourage you to seek those out.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So in the chat, we had, is the total budget of $200,000 for all sites? And yes, that is a total budget for all sites. Your proposal does not have to be $200,000. It can be up to $200,000. So if you have an idea for a mural and you are budgeting that it will cost $50,000, go ahead and submit it. But maybe you also have a sculpture that could cost $150,000. Go ahead and submit it. And then it will go through the process. Okay, the next question that I see a hand raised is Nicole. Hi.
Hi. Hi. So I have worked on murals in the past, but I am typically an illustrator and I have never been a lead artist on a mural. So how would I be able to submit examples of my artwork that show that I would be capable of working as a lead artist on a mural? Should I submit that alongside my traditional illustration work, or should I submit that just alongside examples of murals that I've helped on in the past?
I'll start. I'll probably ask Idris and maybe Thomas or Monica to assist. But if you have never done a mural before, that is not to say that you cannot submit a call for art. What I would say is perhaps you would want to get some guidance, maybe reach out, network, and collaborate with either some people that you already know that have installed murals or have an understanding about how murals are created, so that at least that you're familiar with the process. Because actually public art and murals, it's very different from, illustration, iPad, digital creation, things like that. There are specific things that you need to pay attention to, how you're going to actually get the image on the wall, how you're going to be high enough to paint the mural and fill it in. So that would be my recommendation. Definitely ask around and get some more information. There are lots of websites that talk about the production of a mural. Even if you could do one indoor, just to get your head wrapped around the process of how to actually produce something at this large of a scale, because it's a lot of physical work and it's also a lot of mental work, really trying to understand what's needed and required for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you can always submit your sketches for the actual mural that you want to do. But in terms of actually preparing yourself, it would be best to, just ask around or do some research.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. All right. So over in the chat, we had for the Seneca Bluffs site, I'm curious to know if it's possible to get information about the ecology of the area, would it be possible to have a tour of any of the sites? And yes, having a tour for the site, you just have to reach out and request that, and we can certainly schedule that for you.
I would like to add, the Erie County Parks Department is actually doing a tour of the Seneca Bluffs site. I think on maybe 2 Saturdays from now. You could find it at erie.gov/parks. I'll put it in the chat, but they're actually going to be discussing all of the different new investments that are going there, including like the kayak launch and the new green infrastructure parking lot. So I definitely recommend anybody who's looking to, looking at that site, might be interested in that walk with the park ranger.
Awesome. Someone asked for the repeat of the timeline. So applications opened in October, and we are currently accepting applications until December 16th, at which point we will begin reviewing and starting to highlight some artists that we may call back for additional questions. And that will begin in January. Monica, when are we making a decision on, on that? If you could help me with that portion.
Yes, yeah. So January, so the callbacks would be early January. So I think that the week of January 6th would be around when we'd love to speak with you more.
Awesome. So another question in the chat was, I'm wondering if there are any themes or additional input already given from each site on what they'd like to see in the art, or are they totally open to the artist's vision? And do we know if for the murals, if the surfaces are already going to be power washed and primed, or should the artist budget for that? Those are great questions. Regarding the themes, really understanding and researching the location would be best. There are some historical contexts to some of the locations, specifically for the sculptures and also for the public art mural. So definitely do some research. We are looking and open to the artist's visions. So if there's something that you really think is appropriate for that location, I definitely say, the committee definitely says submit it. And then as far as the murals, I'll have Thomas chime in for the power washing and the priming of the walls.
Sure. So as I put in the chat, generally speaking, the site will be clean. Like the county will pressure wash and clean the site, but any priming or primer should certainly be considered in your budget because as I'm not an artist myself, but I would suppose that you need certain types of primers to do certain type of work, and the county isn't an expert in that field, and so we would leave it up to you all to make sure that you use the right products for the right application.
Yeah, and it's important when you're sealing a mural to make sure that you are coating it appropriately once it's completed to account for the elements, the sun, the weather, and the all year round graffiti or anything else that might be possible. So definitely factor that into your budget and your materials, as well as sculpture work, as I mentioned before, just making sure that it's stable. Obviously, Department of Public Works will be able to assist you with the concrete flooring, but there's still that knowledge that you'll need to know and have regarding what makes a sculpture stable and what makes it the best fit for the location. So one question in the chat is that Thomas already answered it, but is there a jury or panel of reviewers for the call for art and who they are? And the committee, the Art and Public Places Committee, who's listed right on the Erie County website, will be selecting the work, and you'll be able to find all the contact information on the erie.gov/public-art website. There's another question. I don't think I see the hand raised though. Yep. So we already responded to the last question in the chat about the jury or panel of reviewers. And again, that's listed right on the website, along with any other information that you need. We have the images on the website, and we have just the history of this committee on the website. And if there's anything that might be missing, we would love if you could contact us by email or by phone to make sure that we add that to the site. just to ensure that, everybody's getting the full benefit of your questions. One question is, will more modest budgets be preferred as to allow more works to be selected? That's an interesting question. Obviously, if there are more modest budgets, we could do more work. But the benefit of this law is that this is going to be an ongoing call for art. So just because we have one this year doesn't mean we're not going to have any in the future. So obviously, if the budgets are more modest, we can select more artwork this year. But if it's a really impactful work and the committee is all on board saying we absolutely have to have this, and that budget is $175,000 or $200,000, then so be it. But next year there will be another call for art. The completed projects would be due by winter of 2025. That would be the timeline for installation for sculptures as well as murals. There was another question, but I think they lowered their hand.
Sorry,
Okay.
can I just clarify, when you say winter 25, does that mean December 2025 or something else? It's just winter is sort of, some people
Well-
consider winter January and February, so it's a little, I just want to
no,
be
not
really
this
clear.
year, because you won't even know whether or not you're selected that soon.
Okay.
But yes, December 2025,
So just within a year. Okay.
just within the
Thanks.
year. Yes,
Thank
thank you
you.
for that question. Let's see. Can artists apply multiple years with new ideas, or is it a one-time thing if selected? We haven't actually discussed that, but if you are selected for 2025 installation and you want to reapply to see if another project could be approved, we haven't discussed that, but I don't think that would be an issue. Monica Thomas, if you want to add to that.
No, I agree. I don't think it would be an issue either.
Yeah, absolutely. Will future calls for work be different will future calls for work be for different locations? Are you open to proposals for other areas? And Thomas did respond, yes, there will be different locations in coming years. Erie County will actually designate the locations because where all the public art is going to be are on Erie County owned property, whether it's a building or park or land. Okay, and we have a question from Bree. Hello, Bree.
Hello, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm in the middle of traveling, but how many people are going to be selected? And you probably already answered it, but I wasn't here.
That's okay. So the call for artwork is up to $200,000. So it can be 4 people that submit a proposal for $50,000, or possibly someone that submits a sculpture piece of artwork for $150,000, and another person that submitted a mural proposal for $50,000. So the goal is to use the budget of $200,000, whether that's one person or multiple people. And there was a question that asked, how do you budget for insurance? That's a great question. So typically you have premiums for insurance, and you would budget that or prorate that budgeted insurance for whatever time that development and installation for the specific work would be done for. So if you are paying a monthly fee for insurance of $150, then you would want to make sure that that insurance amount at least covers the amount of time that you'll be using or installing that piece of artwork. And for those of you that might have joined a little later on the call, this presentation will be on the website, erie.gov/publicart. All questions and answers will be added to the website as well. And if you have any questions after this call, you can certainly email us or call us to get a response and to get your question answered. Hand raised. Avi, did I pronounce it right this time?
I'm sorry, that was a mistake. I'm fine.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question, interesting. Is there a minimum requirement for the longevity of the completed installation? Is there a preference for something that will last longer over shorter periods of time? Well, we definitely don't want anything that's only going to last for a year. This is a permanent installation. Specifically, if it's sculptural work, we would like it to last for a good while. We don't have any specific parameters around it yet. It will be based on the installation and where it is. But for murals, typically, you want to at least have that mural up there for maybe 10 years, 5, 10, 15 years. As public art in Erie County and Buffalo is growing, we are certainly understanding what the lifetime of work can possibly be. For example, public art in Buffalo started in 2015, roughly, through Buffalo AKG. And there are some murals that were created in 2015 that are still pristine, they are still up, and they are still looking just as great as they were as when they were installed. But then we do have some murals because of the installation, because of the preparation of the wall, that aren't lasting as long. So we would like some assurance that the mural will be able to, sustain for 5, 10, possibly 15 years. Next question, Thomas, you might have to help me with this, or Monica. Will conservators be hired down the line to keep works up longer? Do you have anybody in Erie County that would be able to assist with that, or?
I would say we wouldn't be opposed to the idea. I think that it's too early in our process to make that determination. Certainly, if it got to a point where we thought that was necessary and most appropriate, then we would certainly consider it. But I think given that this is, we're still new to this is the first go round, that's something that will be yet to be determined in the future.
Okay, thank you for that. The next question is, are the artists responsible for cleaning and maintenance of the art? So again, another interesting question. You all asking some really great questions. So as far as the artwork, you should have an idea of, i.e., could continued maintenance be written into the proposal? The answer to that is yes. So maintenance plans are great. Specifically, maybe if you know what needs to be done, or you are proposing that you will do X, Y, Z in order to extend the life of the public art, please put that in your proposal. Any thoughts that you have for maintenance and the life of your public art is going to give you a little extra points, obviously, in terms of your proposal and how the committee reviews that proposal, because it really lets us know that you understand what's involved with public art. It lets us know that you've done this before and that you have a good understanding of how your public art could weather the storm. And I will say, I will add to the point of continued maintenance be written into the proposal. That goes kind of back to that insurance question. So if it's a matter of you have to repaint something, or you have to refinish something, or you have to go back and install something, that could potentially, I know we haven't encountered that yet, but that may be a question of whether or not additional insurance would be needed. Okay. All right. I don't know if there are any other questions coming through. But those are all wonderful questions, and we really appreciate that you all have taken the time to review the call for art, be on this call. If you submitted any questions, thank you so much. I know we'll stay on for a little bit longer, but, please take a chance to take a look at the sites, review the proposal that we present, review the questions and answers, call us or email us to get further information. Because, we want to be able to offer the best process for you all. Yep, you can email publicart@erie.gov if you need further information. Thank you all. We'll hold on the line in case anybody has any last minute questions, but really thank you all for your time and your attention and all the contributions that you make with your art. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Yes, have a great weekend. Ooh, it's a weekend already. So there is a repeat question from Christopher. How do you calculate the $1 million insurance in the budget? So that, what we had mentioned earlier is that you have to kind of prorate your insurance. So if your premium is $1,000 for or $1,200 for the year, you want to kind of prorate that to determine how much insurance is going to be covered throughout the installation, the design process, the installation, and kind of prorate that. So, if it's 4 months, then maybe $400 for the insurance, but you will also know, like, for example, if you're renting a lift or you have to rent equipment, there are times when you need to add additional insurance for that. So making sure that you add that to your budget would be appropriate. Yes, so for the $1 million, those are those limits that you're going to need for insurance. So whenever you do general liability insurance, you have to go by how much insurance you're covered for. And with that, you're given a premium that you would have to pay for. So yes, general liability is $1 million. Is it up to $3 million, Monica, for those limits?
Yeah, the aggregate is 3 million.
Aggregate, yeah.
Mhm.
So no, you don't have to pay $1 million for your insurance. That would not be covered under this public call for art. Did that answer your question, Christopher? Thank you, Mr. Baines. Yeah, so there are some insurance companies that you can reach out to. There is Next Insurance, which is actually pretty quick, that we know some artists have utilized in the past. There is Dryden Mutual is another insurance company. So any insurance company locally or online that does commercial insurance that is reputable, I would suggest reaching out to them to possibly get a quote And as artists in general, if you're doing any work in the public, or if you are installing any type of anything on someone else's premises, it is good business sense to definitely have some insurance in your name, or in your, business name or LLC name. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, I guess maybe we can call it a wrap, Miss Monica. Unless you just want to stay on until 6:30. I don't know if everyone that signed up was in attendance or not.
We can certainly call it a night. Folks, email us. No need to keep us hanging on if no one's asking any more questions, and everything will be provided on our website, so we're good to go.
Awesome, wonderful. Well, thank you both for this time to present this information to the artists.
Thank you. Thanks, Alexa. Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Bye.
Bye.